And all that fun comes from a California shop known as Automotive Legends, the home of Fibersteel. They continue the legacy of this sports car, a ride Porsche stopped turning out over 50 years ago. The operation here is a testament to the passion of two Spyder enthusiasts. They recreate the body in fiberglass and then match the original ride with every last detail. They met after Russ Rodriguez found a reproduction of his dream car.
The body lines, I could tell by looking at the body that the mold was taken off of a real Spyder. Every little detail was there. And I said, I got to have this car. So I purchased the car, and together with the car came some literature and the original invoice. And there was a name on there that I had recognized, and it was Will Cashin.
Russ knew of Will from the close community of Spyder fans.
This is the first of the few that I had made originally as replicas, and they were really, really great little cars, and I decided to be a purist at the time and to make them in Porsche's image as best as I possibly could.
His best became the gold standard for Spyder replicas.
It was a pretty expensive undertaking, but we were able to manage it through 200 cars. And then I moved away from it and started engineering for Detroit for large car companies.
Meanwhile, Russ was looking for the man who made those Spyders.
Little by little, I started gathering more information. I found more, and I found some newsprint that showed a picture of Will in the car. I thought, wow, this is really the guy. A little more hair, but a little younger, but that's him, that's Will. So we, got together, started talking. I said, hey, I said, I feel kind of weird. I feel like a stalker. I got this file here. It's got contracts and pictures of you and your company and your car, and I've got one of your cars, and I think we need to start building this car again. This car is beautiful. All the detail, it's right on to a real 550. This is what we got to do.
And Spyder fans soon learned they could buy a 550.
Now Russ and I have pretty much taken over, and we're back making them again. And so it's always the car. It's always the focus of the car. And this is the car that started it all.
And each build starts with care, because these rides are handcrafted, with some pieces coming from manufacturers who also handcraft their parts.
We actually focus our company building a car much like Porsche did, because the process worked in the 50s as well as it works now. We actually have the bodies manufactured and coach built.
And while that body might come together elsewhere, many of the parts are created here.
We basically manufacture all the parts and accessories, from fiberglass to full interiors, leather, vinyl. We do aluminum interiors. We make mirrors, helmet fairings. We also do all the final assembly here, where we're putting all the components together and doing customization as the customers require them, down to lowering the jack, starting the motor up, and driving them out the door.
Part of their speed comes from a light fiberglass body that's worked until it's perfect.
One of our areas of expertise is getting these cars to be as tight and as straight as possible.
Tight and straight are important, but so is overall perfection when it comes to a ride of this quality. It's work that takes time.
Now, originally they used to have just a strip of leather on here, on the original 550s. They were just riveted on there. We did a couple cars like that, and it looked really cool, really original. But man, every time you hit a bump and you get a little bit of lift on the rear, the sound would just come right through. So for practicality reasons, we go with this neoprene foam that's just, it's not exactly correct for a 550, but man, it just makes it really hum nice.
Purists might balk at neoprene foam replacing leather, but that's not the only element being modernized. And since Russ isn't restoring an original, he makes no apologies.
If it is an original, one of 90 ever produced, then the right way would be to put it to original specs. But we're talking about new cars that are being created now to follow that line and that design. So why not do it the way you like? That's my opinion. Like I said, it's never going to be an original car, because it's like a Picasso. It's got to be signed by the artist. It's got to have a serial number that matches the original production one. These don't offer that, but they offer everything else for about, $700,000 cheaper.
Today, any hope of owning a 550 comes by way of a replica from Will and Russ. Russ will never stop making speedsters. It's a passion he remembers acquiring.
When I was a young kid, I went to a car show and I saw my first speedster, and I saw that little windshield and the little side windows, and the top was up, and I thought, man, it looked like a little chop top, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. There's some cars that look pretty but don't perform as well. There's some cars that perform very well but aren't quite pretty.
I read a lot of books about Porsche when I was young, and there was a little bit of cars in the movie, James Dean and all that. I heard about it. And a friend of mine in high school had a car, and I fell in love with Porsches.
By the time I was 18, I bought my first Speedster. Total rust bucket, had to do all the restoration, all the work on it, and kind of taught myself how to do a lot of the work, asked a lot of questions. Then years later, I saw my first Spyder, and I thought that was the ultimate car. Bought a used one, an old fixer-upper, did some work to it, and at the time nobody was making any kind of parts or accessories for it. So as I was researching through the books, I saw all the parts that were missing, so I began to fabricate them.
That is loving a car, and it led to a livelihood.
I had a lot of people come up to me and start wanting to buy parts, so it kind of turned into a business. Started making extra parts to cover some of the mold costs and the tooling cost, and soon enough I was doing it full-time in the garage.
It evolved into a business creating reproductions for those who can't find or afford a 550.
These cars, because they're affordable to drive, you know, it's not a $50,000 or $100,000 motor that you'd be scared to blow. You can actually drive the car and you experience life.